what will cheer you up better than a bucket full of baby sloths? Well, how about Tanya Unkovich? Tanya, I'm terribly sorry, because normally you are a guest in our studio, and I think you were one of our first guests back after the end of the last lockdown, because you were keen to be chatting in the studio. But deja vu, here we are again. You're on the program, which is great, but by phone for the next however long.
Yes, it is deja vu, isn't it, actually? It feels like we've gone back in time a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. Although, in some ways, look, I know people are a little bit concerned about, we'll find out later today what happens, whether or not lockdown will be extended, whether or not more parts of the country will go into level 3. All that sort of uncertainty can make us a bit anxious. But it's not like we haven't been here before. We don't know what's going to happen next, but this is less of a new experience for us, which, personally, I find it easier to deal with. I know for a whole bunch of people around New Zealand, though, these are perhaps even more difficult times, because they thought, well, hey, we've beaten that, we're moving forward, we never need to go back to those dark days.
And the truth is, you don't need to go back to those dark days, not in your mind. I mean, we've been here before, and you've learnt skills, you've learnt ways on how to deal with it, you've been through it, you've come out the other end, here's a speed bump, let's just get over this speed bump. And, take control of what goes on in your mind, filter what's going on in your mind, filter what you're listening to, and keep getting that certainty from within and from with God and prayer. We know what to do.
We do. And look, I think part of the problem is that we got used to the new normal, but then we were in such a hurry to rush back to the old normal rather than accepting that, hey, maybe COVID is going to be with us for a while, one way or the other.
Yeah. And look, that's the kind of mentality I've had as well. What is normal? Let's get up today and see what today brings, and just take it a day at a time, because this is so different. We don't know what normal is in a way anymore. Yeah. So just try and be that little bit flexible and not, the more we put ourselves into this little box of rules and it's got to be like this, then the more we fall over or fall apart when it doesn't go the way we've expected. So build that personal foundation, that strong foundation of you within, and just know that you'll deal with whatever comes your way, whatever you are faced with.
So many things in this situation, and this is perhaps what leads to the anxiety, so many things are outside of our control. We're dependent upon, government decisions. We're dependent upon whether or not the virus spreads. These are things that we can't control. However, even within this environment, there are things that we can control. There are decisions, positive decisions for our health that we can make.
Yes. And of course, as I've just said, we start with our mind, right? And just to stand guard at the door of your mind and filter out all of the things that are just noise and crazy stuff that can be going on around you. Also, take responsibility for your own wellness. Hey, you've actually got the ability and whatever it takes to take care of your own immune system. If you want to stay distant from people, you take that responsibility for yourself. And if you want to stay indoors, stay indoors. So often we feel a little bit uncertain because we feel we've lost some control, but I always focus on make sure I'm eating well, make sure that I'm sleeping, make sure that I feel fit and strong, and if I've got a sniffle, then take care of myself. Yeah. If someone else has got a sniffle, stay away, you know. So many things that we can do. But, the biggie for me is, of course, control the kind of stuff that you're exposing yourself to out there, either on social media or the news or whatever else it is. It can be very inviting to get into that tornado, right? Step away from the tornado when you see it coming.
It's not just the virus, which is toxic and bad for you, that's for sure. Social media can have such a negative impact on people's lives. You talk a lot about resilience, Tanya, and now is the time to say, okay, if we've got tools and techniques on how to be, well, particularly emotionally resilient, now's the time to put those into practice, right?
Very much so, very much so. And keep focusing on a time in your life when you have already overcome adversity. What did you do then? How did you show up? What were some of the daily rituals that you did every day to keep yourself emotionally and physically strong? And, I often say to people, we shower every day, right? Because we want to keep our body nice and fresh and clean. We've got to do the same with our mind. You've got to keep feeding your mind that belief, whatever rituals that you have, your prayer, your meditation, silence your mind. As I've said, pray, be around people who are positive and encouraging, and filter out any of that negative stuff, the game playing, the toxicity, whatever else is there that's sending you into that spiral. So we've all been gifted with the ability to be resilient, but sometimes we just forget.
Yes.
And it's about remembering who we really are.
When it comes to, I suppose, the faith aspect, the spiritual aspect of life as well, and look, I don't mean this flippantly, but it is a true statement that whilst we may not be in control, God is in control. That's actually situation normal. If we trust God, then replacing our fear with our faith that He's got things under control.
Look, that is my personal belief and my experience that when things get too big or too tough, I fall on my knees. And whenever I have the ability to surrender that much to my God, my faith in God, then everything seems okay. Everything calms down and I'm able to say, your will be done. I trust you with everything in my life. Yeah. And I've done that in my darkest hours, and that is what has got me through every single time. So, when it comes to having announcements or waiting for news and 1 o'clock or 5:30, I just go, I don't need to go and watch that. Yeah. I'll hear it eventually. Meanwhile, I'll do whatever it takes for me to stay strong and in this place of faith.
And I suppose the other good thing about having been here before, we have habits that we learned and things that we've developed. We all learned how to Zoom during lockdown. And for you personally, working from home, you were able to connect with people online rather than in person. You know how to do that, and it's just like change that gear and move in that direction. Again, people able to contact you during lockdown?
Absolutely. You can just find me on social media or go to my website. You'll see me there. There's lots of past interviews of Radio Rima there if you'd like to listen to those to get you through this time. Yep. So, plenty there for you to get resilient from.
Tanya, Unkovich.com, a great place to start for that. Tanya, well, hopefully back in the studio next week, but we'll leave that in God's hands. Kia kaha. Yes. Thanks for joining us.
You are so welcome. Thank you.